This here is 5-pound block of fat, anatomically accurate.
Yeah.
I lost 44 of those.
Look at that. It does remind me of the Girth Master.
If you haven't been to the dunny, you're going to be heavier. If you've been on the booze last night, hello, water retention, I'm 300 grams heavier. That's got nothing to do with fat. Guys don't talk about P&D.
Postnatal depression.
What was your experience going through that?
So, yeah, sorry, it's a bit deep here. Let me
You're right, brother.
Give myself.
Oh, come here.
My mental health's improved much more that I'm healthier and fitter because I can do all those things I never did. Going on a water slide with my kid, I was too fat. Never did it. Really doesn't matter whether you do keto, whether it's intermittent fasting. I couldn't care less. It's find what's sustainable to you. Because if you go off it, you're going to go back to your old habits. Mum, if you're watching this, do not Google Girth Master.
No.
Welcome to the Better Bloke Podcast. I'm Matty,
I'm Rob.
and we're just a pair of average blokes on a mission to try and be a little bit less average.
We're going to speak about all things highs and lows of what it feels like to be a bloke, plus speak to some legends along the way about what it takes to be a better bloke. Let's get stuck in.
Welcome back to another episode of the Better Bloke Project. And on this one, we got a long-time BA member, most notable for jumping into the comments and helping guys with their weight loss journey. But I want to talk about all things maintenance because he's kept it off for so long. And a lot of it was done through diet. So Terry Munro, he's on the couch. How we doing, mate?
I'm doing awesome, mate. How are you guys?
Top of the world?
Always good.
Top of the world. Let's kick it off with a little bit of a bio about you. What's your journey in a nutshell?
Okay, so I had a few ups and downs. So back around 2000, I was around 154 kilos. Lost, was it 143. I lost 54 kilos in 60 weeks. And back then it was actually named like Australian joint winner of men's Weight Watch of the Year. Then we had our kid come along and postnatal depression hit me. So there's a nice hit for old mental health hitting me pretty early. Went back to old habits, didn't give a shit, didn't exercise, and then ballooned from 90 kilos over the next 16 years to reach 185.5 kilos, which, as you can see with my old photo, I was quite a large lad and hit rock bottom for the second time and decided if I don't do something, I'm going to die, not kill myself, I was going to die because I was just killing myself by eating too much, not exercising. Did a bit of a search on the internet, found CSIRO, Total Wellbeing Diet, which is all just diet, and followed that for 2 years, lost 1 kilo a week, and ended up losing 100 kilos in 2 years. And so I reached 85.5 kilos and been maintaining a healthy weight since then. So that's 5 years maintenance coming up very soon.
Interesting. I think that's like probably something people struggle with a lot is the maintenance, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's something that's not really spoken about, though, more than anything. It's like everyone talks so much. It's almost like it's like the glamour of losing weight, but it's never about the hard shit of actually keeping it off.
Maintenance is really difficult because the biggest bit for me was I had a really terrible relationship with the scales. So the scales hit me pretty bad because you got to remember I was so big for so long and living, such a strenuous life with, I couldn't even sit in an airplane seat without I couldn't put the tray down and had to ask for the extension belt. And so my mindset was very much I needed to lose weight to keep going. I wanted to be there for my kids and be a good example and be healthy and do all the stuff that I missed out all those years. And then when I hit the goal, I had gone from having the mindset of I need to lose this weight, I need to weigh myself. I was weighing myself daily then, and being perfect with my my diet and nutrition. And then all of a sudden, I've got no goal. I've reached the goal. There's no more. I need to lose another kilo next week, or my next goal is 50 kilos lost or 60 kilos lost, whatever. So I had no more, no drive, no goal. So I went from that to having nothing. So then all of a sudden, what do? I don't have this goal anymore. So then I would start to self-sabotage. I realize that now, but back then I didn't realize that I was actually, probably subconsciously putting on weight. So then I'd have to lose it to get that feeling of, I've actually, got that endorphin, that hit of that progress again. So my mental state went to being top of the world to then ending up with a bad relationship with the scale, which I then had to work on. And it's taken me, nearly 5 years of maintenance. I think last year my dietitian said, I need to stop obsessing because I've got a very obsessive personality. weigh myself daily. If I weighed myself, wasn't happy, I'd wait until I went to the toilet to be a bit lighter, and then record that weight daily. I'd do a gym workout, freak out that my weight had gone up, not knowing that your body weight fluctuates normally. So I'd end up having a really bad relationship mentally. So getting through that was difficult, having to switch to non-scale victories, where I'm not focusing on the scales all the time. So it's been really complex mindset, mind change, and a lot of it gets down to strategies of what to do to get there.
There is also like a point, right, where you reach this goal weight. So this diet, and you can tell me about that because I haven't heard of it.
Sure.
I assume it puts you in some sort of calorie deficit, whatever, gets your weight down. But once you reach that, you have to reassess what you're doing, right? Your diet changes. All this other stuff must change to maintain. What's that process like?
Okay, so with the CSIRO, Total Wellbeing Diet, that's been created by the CSIRO. They did Wi-Fi, Australian Science Agency, and it's sold through a commercial company that does it. I signed up with them, and it's basically a way for you to meet your macros. Rob, you probably understand macros because you're doing your fitness thing at the moment.
I just eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah, I eat a lot too.
Yeah, that's the thing with like I don't know fuck all about macros or anything like that. I just Geordie the dietitian.
Protein, you hitting protein targets?
I don't read it. I just read the diet that I got given.
Okay.
I go, okay, sweet, I'll do that.
You got given a diet, so it's all kind of done.
Okay, so that's pretty similar. So with the CSIRO one, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. They'll have a meal plan that you can follow, and they'll go, you have this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner. I don't like that, so I created my own meal plan. But at the root of it, without going into too much detail, you eat so much meat or protein. If you're vegetarian, you might have tofu, beans, etc. And you'll have this much bread, carbs. And if you're gluten-free, you might have different varieties and whatever. So it gives you basically a balanced diet, but obviously you need a calorie deficit or you're not going to lose weight. The key to weight loss is for diet, nutrition, and exercise is a great way to get healthy and have that other, to build your health and fitness effectively. So with, I'll call it TWD because it's Total Wellbeing Diet, that does the macros for you effectively. Because I've done a deep dive with my dietitian, and I know that if I want to build muscle, I need this ratio of, protein and carbs and fat or whatever it is. But it does it for you automatically as long as I reach my targets of how much, breads and how much protein and how much fats and oils. I know that I'm in the right nutrition to be healthy, and I can dial that up a bit if I wanted to gain a bit of muscle and have a bit of a calorie surplus because I want to build up muscle, or after Christmas and holidays, need to tone back a bit of extra fat around the stomach. So I've dropped it back a couple of notches. So back into a calorie deficit effectively, but still reaching my nutrition. And that is the way that I'm able to maintain long term with my health and fitness where I want to be. And with exercise, I walk every day and have done for, over 5 years, 7 years, just walking virtually every day. Super important. I just do it. And I do to the gym 4 days a week. And that started purely because I knew if I'm bored on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll get bored and I'm more likely to eat some bad food, eat some shit food because I'm bored. Whereas time-wise, it takes an hour and a half by the time I drive the gym, do the gym, come back home. So it started as that. And my son, he started the gym a few years early and he sort of inspired me to, get a bit more beefcake. I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger yet, but I've got a bit of muscle mass there, which is good.
Yet's the key word there.
Which bit?
The yet for beefcake. Yes. One thing that you said, which I wanted to ask you about with this, like the whole maintenance thing, is that you mentioned that you do allow yourself to sort of change it up a little bit. Because obviously if you are sitting in a deficit, the fitter you get when you're doing gym, you're going to be burning a lot more. So like that deficit, without it increasing, it sort of is like you're outputting more energy than you're actually putting in. So how do you maintain that when obviously you start getting more fitter? Your deficit change as you are going down in
Yeah.
in weight.
You have to eat less.
Yeah.
That, like, when I was 185 kilos, I was eating a lot. I worked out through the meal plan bit of the calories that I was eating pre-diet. And I was eating 3,500 before dinner. I would just eat dinner, whatever my wife was cooking at that point. So probably doing 5,000 calories with zero exercise. And then I went to following the meal plan, and I would have been doing probably 2,500 and no exercise, importantly, for the first 6 months, because when you're that size, it's really difficult to exercise. So my first exercise was star jumps in the pool, because that would support my body weight and keep me cool. Living in Brisbane gets bloody hot. So I was able to get exercise safely, because if you're a big guy, you don't want to be walking and potentially injure yourself, because then it's just worse. So yeah, there was that big calorie deficit. And then over the years, as I was getting fitter, I would have to drop back a little bit occasionally, because your body is burning less calories because you're smaller. And so you'd either got to up the exercise to keep that calorie deficit, or eat less. So eat less or exercise more. So you've just got to balance it. And I know through the last 7 years of my journey that I can eat a bit extra protein that I would see in the tracker, because there's an online tracker with the company. I know I can eat more, and it doesn't really make me put on weight. I'll put on weight if I eat more carbs, because I love my carbs. I could never do keto. That's just not me. So I know I've got to be careful with cashews, because that's the healthy oil. Your body needs oil, whether it's avocado, peanuts, nuts, whatever. I could easily eat twice as much. But if I want to cut back, I need to measure it and weigh it exactly. And I know it's 26 grams of cashews is exactly what I need to, trim myself back a bit more.
So it's very much a discipline thing from you, with you've got yourself in that habit now as well. So they sort of go hand in hand, the habit and the discipline.
Absolutely.
But you're very strict with it though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you got to be for success. Sorry.
Are you still using the diet?
The meal plan? Yeah, absolutely.
So do you think it's going to get to a stage where you have such a good relationship and understanding of everything that you'll just be like, I know roughly the food I need to eat, and I'm not going to look at the scales. I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to see how I feel, and have kind of less emphasis on the obsession on it?
Yeah, so you've nailed where I am right now. So for the last few years, I know I'm very structured. I know, because I'm bringing my lunch, because I didn't want to go and get something else for lunch. I can nuke it and eat it here. That's me being prepared. Because at the moment, I want to get rid of that extra that I built up, because we went to Japan with the family and holiday, so I got a bit extra around the gut. I want to lose that, so I need to drop it back a bit. I know exactly how much to eat to put myself in that calorie deficit, to bring myself back with no extra change in exercise, because I'm already doing the max. I know what I need to eat, but it's still important for me to measure, the cashews, because I'll easily eat more than I should. And I eat nightly ice cream, have since day one. What's life without having ice cream, for God's sake? Or a beer, if you want a beer, or a wine, or whatever. You need that indulgence to live life and not feel like I can never have those hot chips again. I can never have ice cream again. It's about everything in moderation. So I still measure my ice cream. I know that 2/3 of the tub of my ice cream will give me 200 calories of indulgence, food without nutrition. But I'm a human being and I enjoy it, and it's sustainable. And that's the key. Whatever works is sustainable. That's absolutely critical. I loved the potty with Dane, 160 odd kilos lost.
Yeah, he was up at 270. Big boy.
And it's a completely different journey. Like, we've got very different journeys. We've got very different goals as well. I know I could never go through the weight loss surgery like he did. I know plenty of people that did the surgery, but they said I couldn't do the diet side, and I couldn't do what they're doing. But Dana still had to flick his mind around, which is the tough part. It's one thing to follow a diet and stick to this, or to have your shakes, your man shake or whatever. But you've got to get those strategies to make it lifetime. Otherwise, you're just going to go back.
Yeah, and this is a conversation we have with a lot of guys that have struggled with their weight or they've gone through the big loss. It's not about the eating of the food. It's about the relationship with food and why they're doing it. So obviously to get up to that 200 kilo mark, you know, you're dealing with
You
something.
don't have a good relationship.
You don't have a good relationship with food, so you can get the band, but if you don't,
I'd sort of say your relationship's too good with food. That's probably more the issue.
it's a very intimate relationship.
Yes.
It's dependency. I don't know what it is. Different
It's
for
addiction
everyone.
as well,
It's
which I want to
addiction.
talk about too.
It's
Absolutely.
all those things, and it becomes controlling. But then that's kind of why I posed that question just earlier. Like now that you do have, I guess, the way you interact with food healthier, the next stage, to me, from my perspective, as someone who hasn't lost weight, would be a healthy relationship with food is just kind of knowing like that. Obviously, I don't count calories and stuff like that, but I know not to overindulge. So that's when it would become even less controlling, I feel. I don't know if that's right because I haven't felt the thing that got you to that stage.
Yeah, because every person's going to be slightly different, but I think we've got a very similar journey. Like if you're a big bloke, a big woman, or whatever, a lot of look. I'm not going to. I know there's a huge relationship between mental health and physical health, because a lot of people that are very obese could have had childhood trauma and all that sort of horrible stuff, and then that's the way that they deal with it, or they have control, even though I'm eating more, it's still a way they can control part of their life. So I can't go down that route because that's very different for a lot of people. I come from a background of, I think, just over enjoying food, but then making it worse as I got into it. And then I wasn't really a big guy, but then I hit the big time with postnatal depression after. Actually, no, it can't be because I was 143 before Jack was born. So I think I just didn't give a shit, to be honest. Just like didn't care. I was still probably late 20s, 30s type thing. So I didn't really worry too much. Yeah. And then kids make you think a bit more. But yeah, I'd reached 154 before for the first child was born. So
is that something that I'm just trying to sort of see, like, it just came into my mind with it. Is like weight an issue throughout your whole family, or was it just a you thing?
No, it was just me really.
Yeah,
like
okay.
My brother, my sister. Nothing really big. We all get a bit bigger as we get older because we're not exercising as much. But it's not like my mum was super obese or anything like that. I was sort of like the big. I wasn't really fat in school, but a kid picked on me. Like I was bullied even though I wasn't fat, which is bizarre to me now because I'm thinking I would love to be that size. And I was just tiny. Just give us an arsehole, basically. Yeah, exactly. But I don't really know what got me to that point, even looking back now. But I know the second time when we had the child and postnatal depression sort of triggered me off, and depression. And I don't know if you guys have been in depression, but like you just don't think. You don't even know you're depressed. You're just unhappy. Or for me, it could be different for a lot of people. But it was really just like, just didn't give a shit and I'll just eat my feelings. And then I reached rock bottom and I got to do something.
Can we dive into the postnatal depression?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if we've spoken about that on the podcast yet.
For men, no. This was something like when you said it before, I've really wanted to.
Yeah.
Because it is such a taboo topic for men. Like, and it's so fucking real.
Yeah. Any depression's a taboo subject.
Yeah. But it's just like, even myself, like being a father, when I hear postnatal depression, my automatic brain response goes, the mother. I work in the fucking bloke space.
Yeah.
And my brain goes, the mother. So this is a really, really important discussion to have because
we don't talk about it.
It's fucking, this could be life changing.
Yeah, so what was your experience going through that? And,
you're going to get me upset here, mate. Jesus.
And like, what have you learned about men actually being affected by it?
So, yeah, sorry, it's a bit deep here. Let me
You're right, brother.
Get myself.
Oh, come here.
Let's have a hug, mate.
He's a big cuddle bear.
Big bear.
You're right.
Yeah, look, it's It's difficult, hey. Like, so, most babies, yours are getting older now. You got a kid that doesn't sleep. That's pretty hardcore. You got to get back to work. Your wife might be breastfeeding if she's lucky. She might not be breastfeeding. So then you might have the, her guilt of she can't breastfeed. So there's that guilt. Sorry, once again. So yeah, you just get hit with everything, and then the kid won't go to sleep, and you've got to get to work the next day. It just hits you big time. So I remember lying on the ground in fetal position at one point, but didn't think I needed help. So I can't even think. I think eventually went on to the happy pills, which sort of helped, and then slowly built it up. And it's really funny because as the kid got older, he slept more, which then meant that I was able to function more. So it's sort of like this whole cloud started to lift. But then, boys can be really tough when they're 2 years old and just, once again, go through all those issues. The second one, he was a much better sleeper, and I just sort of got through it. Don't think I can go back to the mental state that I was in, but yeah, thanks for that, Rob. That's really good.
Is this anything that you've unpacked before, or is it like, is this just something that you've sort of like you just buried it?
I haven't really talked about it as much, which I thought, it's something that guys don't talk about.
No.
Did you think at the time, like you said, you're in the fetal position, feeling like there was nothing wrong?
Didn't know what to do.
Did you think that it was your job to be strong? Did you think there was a stigma attached to what fatherhood was, and that sort of played into?
I haven't even really talked about it until now. Like, really, I've talked about other stuff, but not that. And it's an important thing I wanted to bring up at the podcast, which I mentioned it in my reached out to you guys, like, hey, postnatal depression, all those other things that go with it. I think I can share my story about motivation and mindset with the losing the weight, but I don't think, like you said, Rob, like guys don't talk about P&D.
No, not at all. And it is something that, like, every father, if they're an active, good father, and like so many people will come in like everyone's good. No, not everyone is a good father. If you have to question whether you're a good father, you're probably a good father. Yeah. The ones that can comfortably go like, fuck yeah, I'm the best dad ever. Good chance you're not. You're lying to yourself.
That's
like
right.
It is. But every single father will have those doubts in their mind of like, am I doing a good enough job? Like all of this stuff, and like everything that you've felt, every good father has felt. So it's not an unnormal thing for that. It's just the levels, the depths vary. That is essentially it.
And dads just want to fix things, and if you can't fix your kid because he's too young because he's crying, what do? Your mind goes, I want to do this, but you go, well, I can't do that because then I'm not safe for the child. Like, it still goes through your head. And then there's a line of like, no, you can't do that. You just have to walk away, let the kid cry himself to sleep for a while.
And it's fucking hard.
It's
like so hard.
Yes, it's one of the hardest. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, we had I think the thing that got us through was any new dads out there, don't know why I'm looking at the microphone, but any new dads out there, a swinging cradle thing.
The automatic ones.
Yeah, like seriously, I didn't want him to get into the habit of needing that to fall asleep, but that got me through a few nights where I would have just...
Even like the old car trick, you just put them in the car and go for a drive.
Mate, the amount of times we did that.
So many. But it's...
He's going to wake up. Oh, no.
No, you figure it out. But I think I sort of want to go as hard as it probably is for you to sort of like go back into that. Like, I think is really, really important that like we discuss it and sort of like your feelings in it and what you did to get out of that, because there might be
drugs. And I wasn't the glass Barbie. It was like, going to the doctor and saying, hey, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
And getting your magic happy pills.
How did you feel about going to the doctor to go and speak to them about that?
You're going back, 30 odd years, 22 years, 20 years, something like that. Don't really remember, but I think I just had to, it's almost like you've got to suck it up. Like, if that's what you've got to do to keep the family together and have a safe child, and then go back for a second one, because that's what we do. One's not enough. You just have to do it and just accept that there's no stigma attached. I think we're much better now with, the Are You OK Day and that sort of stuff, which, of course, if, it's only one day a year, I know we should do that constantly, but I think we're better at accepting that it's okay to not be okay, that sort of stuff. And Better Bloke Project, awesome. That's just, we need to get around that stigma and understand that mental health is just as important as physical health. And they're so interactive. Like, my mental health's improved much more that I'm healthier and fitter because I can do all those things I never did. Getting back to kids, one of the biggest things for me was just like going on a water slide with my kid because I was too fat, never did it. And I did a blog post like virtually every week when I was losing the weight. It was really cool because I was like, picture me on the water slide. I was still a big bloke, but to me, I'd been the guy that was always the fun, happy guy in the corner, having a laugh and always self-deprecating, but too fat to, feel comfortable on the beach, too fat to go down a water slide, to go on a water slide. And then when I reached like 80 kilo loss, one of my big things was I went to Dreamworld and did like roller coasters. And I could actually sit in them and put the safety bar down. To move from, being that state of not being able to participate with your kids to going and enjoying yourself and doing Dreamworld and going on a water slide. And so that's huge. That's reclaiming your life.
100%. I remember when Dane came up for the podcast, we flew him up from Sydney, and it was the first time he'd been on a plane since he dropped the weight. And he was like, I better fit in this chair.
Yeah.
And at the time he was like 115 kilos. He was pretty much normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very real for him to be able to reclaim his life.
Absolutely. Because, it's a pretty shit feeling to go, excuse me, because I'd ask them quietly at the front to say, can I have an extension? Can I have an extension, pal? Whispering, because you don't want everyone knows you're the fat bloke.
Because it's something like, and that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, you're whispering it, but you're standing there, like they know.
That's right.
But I guess it's like that self-shame in your head, isn't it?
Absolutely. I used to, can we go to that I'd say, let's not go to that restaurant. And not tell my wife that I'm afraid that I'll break those chairs. I used to take a chair with me, go to my brother-in-law's place. That just sits in your mind all the time. But, and then you sit there and you get your meal and the trays at a 45-degree angle. So you say, oh, buddy, to my son, can I just use? Yeah, mate, it's good. So I'd have to eat with it over there because my tray table couldn't go down. Mm. And then, to finally go in there and not ask for the extension belt and have that embarrassment and not, being able to eat with the tray table down and to now jumping out of planes. I don't know if you've seen that video, but my biggest reward to myself was jumping out of the plane. So I've always wanted to do, like a parachute. So I'd had 2 years of maintenance, so it's 4 years in, so nearly 3 years ago. Family went to Queenstown, and I booked myself in to do a tandem jump. And I don't know if you're Queenstown, but Queenstown's just like the most beautiful spot in the world. And I'm at this plane, and we just jump out, and I just got the video, paid for the extra for the guy to video me jumping out as well as the handheld, and it just brings a smile on my face because I was, 3 years ago, couldn't even put the tray table down. Now I'm jumping out and living life to the fullest. So it's a huge transformation, which is just really, really important thing to do.
That's so cool.
That was awesome. I want to do it again. I'd actually done it we went to New Zealand the year after. I did 2 more jumps.
Yeah, nice.
Just not as good as Queenstown, but it's still really cool to just live life and just have that adrenaline buzz and go, I can now do shit that I couldn't do before.
Changing gears. So within the Blokes Advice group, I've seen that photo on your shirt pop up quite a few times.
I need to do more. I've been a bit slack.
So there's a lot of blokes asking for advice or sharing their weight loss journey. A lot of big boys, when they get motivation, they take the selfie in the gym and say, I'm getting after it, which is awesome.
Braden, I think there's a guy who's posting up quite a lot.
Yep, Braden class.
He's a local bloke in Queensland as well.
Yeah, yep, lives up in Brizzy. He's come along to a lot of our barbecues, helped us out a lot with our
missed the last barbecue. I've got to make sure that I go to the next one because I want to
we have been so unfortunate with weather. With
Go Queensland.
It has been a rough last 2 months.
There was one at Redcliffe or Cleveland on the day of the cyclone.
Cool.
So we didn't do that. Back to the group.
Sorry, yes.
You've been popping up for years, giving advice and stuff like that. So I'd like to talk about what your advice would be to a guy at the start of their journey. Like you said, it's very hard to get into heavy exercise, but that's sometimes what we see because guys get all hyped up on testosterone. I'm going to hit the gym and lose all this weight. What's your advice?
Okay, so the big thing to remember is diet is critical. And by diet, I mean the food we eat, not diet as in restriction. We've still got to make sure that we are effectively in a calorie deficit. And that really doesn't matter whether you do keto. I couldn't care less. It's find what's sustainable to you. So here's a little, the biggest tip for the best diet for you is the one that's sustainable to you. Whether that's keto, whether that's intermittent fasting, whether that's a CSIRO, total wellbeing diet, whatever it is, make it sustainable. Because if you go off it, you're going to go back to your old habits. So number one, pick what's sustainable to you. And there's many different ways you can do that. And the same with your exercise. You need to do what's sustainable. When I started off, like I said, I was doing star jumps in the pool, and then it was getting too cold because pools get cold in April. I started a walk, and I did a small walk, just like probably a 10, 15 minute. I was still probably 150 kilos. Big bloke to be walking. So I do like 15, 20 minutes, slowly build up. Might do 20 minutes. A couple of weeks later, do 25, start to introduce hills, all that sort of stuff. So slowly building up because you've got to make sure you don't damage your ankles. For food, look, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can get MyFitnessPal. You can get meal plans online. You can do a Google request, artificial intelligence request, give me a meal plan. Many different ways you can do it without spending money. Big tip, if you have health insurance, check to see if health plans are covered in that or gym memberships are covered in that because health insurance can actually help a lot of times if you're got a job and you can afford it, all the rest of it. There's free ways to do it as well. So exercise is a great way to build strength and to build up your fitness. But diet is the big thing. What I loved about the CSIRO, Total Wellbeing Diet, is their core is high protein and low GI. Now, high protein means that you feel fuller for longer. And low GI means your blood sugar doesn't spike. So if you have something like my ice cream at night, my sugar will spike up, my blood sugar will spike up, then drop quickly. And I go, I want more because I've been triggered. But if I have white bread, similar sort of thing, not as bad as ice cream, of course. But if I have whole grain bread, it'll go up slowly and go down slowly. So don't get those sugar spikes. So high protein to help you feeling full longer and low GI to get rid of those spikes. Now, the protein's also really good, especially for blokes, because less likely to lose muscle mass. When you're losing weight, you will always lose fat and muscle. But if you're having high protein, which your fitness dude would have done, Rob? Yep, you'd be having high protein because he doesn't want you to lose your muscle mass. It's really hard to build muscle, so you don't want to lose it. And it doesn't matter. I'm 58. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're young or old, you don't want to lose muscle. So by having high protein, you're more likely to keep your muscle. I did a DEXA scan as a way of my journey, and you can see, like, medically that I've lost very little muscle mass. I lost a bit, but nothing compared to the fat. The fat loss was just outrageous.
Because you maintain those high proteins.
Correct.
Yep.
And I wasn't even doing gym back then. If I was doing gym, I probably would have kept a bit more because resistance training will help you build muscle mass and also maintain it. So the short version is high protein, low GI, cardio to just burn those calories and get fit. And if you've got the time as well, do the gym. It can be resistance bands. It can be gym. You don't have to spend a fortune. If you can do that, you're hitting everything perfectly. And be patient. The big thing is to make sure, hey, remember, it's taken you years, decades to get to this point. It's not going to fall off overnight. A bloke can lose weight pretty quickly. Ladies take a long time, unfortunately. But guys lose it quickly. And accept that it takes time. The other biggest tip would be to get an app called Me360 to do your measurements. When I was a big guy, don't know how can I hold the thing there for my arms and my gut and whatever. Is it the same spot? I could have 3 different measurements. I've lost 4 centimeters because it's in the wrong spot. Me 360, it's a freebie app. It does a scan. You've got your measurements, and you go, oh, okay, I've gone down 2 centimeters. Hang on, the scales went up. That doesn't make sense. If I was going by the scales only, that would trigger me, and I'm more likely to go on a binge and eat shit food.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that was sort of, you said about your battle with the scales like early on, and I'm sure a lot of guys would. Well, there is. I speak to like a ton of boys in BA that they're like, oh, today like I've put on 500 grams, or yesterday I dropped 500. And it's like, do you have any tips to like maybe not jumping on the scales every day? Is like what's your tips around that?
It took 5 years of my dietitian telling me not to jump on the scales every day. It took me that long. So literally, you need to focus on non-scale goals and non-scale victories. Scale is great, and it's an important part to monitor how you're going, but there's no nuance. If you haven't been to the dunny, you're going to be heavier. If you had more carbs the day before, you're going to be heavier. If you've been on the booze last night, you're going to be heavier. Not because of fat, because of water. I've got the email trail with my dietitian. Penny, love my dietitian. Penny, I can't understand it. I've done this workout. I've been perfect on my carbs, blah, 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 and I've put on 200 grams. And I was mailing her every day, this poor woman. And she basically said to me, Terry, okay, you need to basically stop weighing yourself daily.
I'm surprised she didn't tell you to stop emailing her daily first.
She's a legend. I love Penny. But it really got down to, I wasn't understanding the body process. I was basing everything on the scale. And that led to my self-worth. Like I said before, I was getting back to going for self-sabotage. But by going back to non-scale victories, going by measurements, they didn't have me 360 5 years ago. So I had no idea that my body may have been changing. I was going by the scale, one reading. She explained to me, if I go to the gym, you do a workout, part of the process is that your body is going, hey, this muscle's sore. I need to, it's swollen. I need to put more water around it to rebuild it. Hello, water retention. I'm 300 grams heavier. That's got nothing to do with fat. But if I was doing my measurements, I would have known that I'm not putting on weight. I would have known that I'm getting fitter, not heavier. Mm-hmm. Very, very different. And when you have focused for 5 years or 7 years on the number on the scales, setting your self-worth to that, that's a huge thing. And just leading into another mental challenge, that then got me into... what is it when you don't believe you deserve the reward?
Imposter syndrome.
Bingo. I'd set myself up, I've lost 100 kilos, blah, blah, blah. Huge achievement. And that was my goal to myself, and to reach that. Even to get under 100 kilos I cried. That's awesome. But then to go, I've lost 100 kilos, I was carrying, you're a tall bloke. Do you know how heavy you are?
About 90.
Okay, so add another 10 kilos to you. I was carrying you on my back 24/7. That's a lot. Huge achievement. But then I'd start weighing myself and shit, I've put on 5 kilos. I haven't lost 100 kilos. That means I can't tell people to lose weight. I can't tell people that I've been successful. That's bullshit now. But back then, imposter syndrome. How can I tell people I've lost 100 kilos? I've only lost 95. So that messes with your mind. So then I had to change all my things. So, I lost 100 kilos in 2 years, which I did, and now maintain a healthy weight. And I have. Does it matter if I put on 5 kilos, 10 kilos, 15 kilos or whatever? Well, yeah, switch your mind to the negative, from the negative to positive. So I've put on 5 kilos. Well, hang on, you've still lost 95 kilos, and you've probably got better fitness because you're doing more of the gym. You've got better muscle tone, etc. So my mind has had to go away from the scales to non-scale victories, which is a huge change. And your non-scale victories can be like, my pants fit. It's not just measurements, my pants fit. Oh, big thing, the gym. If I can do an extra 2.5 kilos this week for an extra rep, that's progress. If I can do an extra 5 kilos on the calf press, that's a gain. You know, it's got nothing to do with the scales, but I know my body is getting fitter. If I jumped on the scales, I'd be heavier because I'm building a bit of muscle and I've got a bit of water in my body. So that's a huge, big tip. Don't focus on the scales. They're important. My biggest tip to people now is scales 1 week, next week measurements. Scales the next week, measurements the week. So then over 2 weeks, you're seeing your weight change and your measurements change, as well as, am I progressing in the gym? Fantastic.
How about setting reasonable expectations for what is possible? Because we've spoken to different guys. Braden, that you mentioned earlier, I spoke to him at the start of the year and it just seemed like a nice number. Could he lose 50 kilos this year?
Yeah.
Dane is a bit of a savage and he was a younger dude as well. Before surgery, I believe he lost 80 or 90 kilos in 9 months just by going man shake and going pretty aggressive on everything.
Huge calorie deficit doing that.
It's a lot. But what is that number? How do you set the goals?
Well, I think everyone's going to be different. So love Dane, absolute freaking legend, but very different journey. So, and he's got different goals. He's also different age and stuff too. Like now he wants to get into the bodybuilding. I'm past that shit. You know, I just want to be healthy and fit and be around to annoy my kids and wife. That's my goal in life. So for me, I wanted to be healthy, a healthy weight. I probably wanted to get to under 100 because that'd be the magic double figures. And I don't think back then I probably had a goal of X kilos in X weeks. But as I could see, consistently losing a kilo a week for a guy is fairly achievable. And I was still eating a lot. Like I wasn't in an aggressive calorie deficit because without going too much into the CSIRO, total Wellbeing Diet, but you can have as many veggies as you want, right? So as long as it's not a potato or sweet potato, which track as a bread because they're that type of veggie, I could have as much corn or tomato soup or whatever is possible as I wanted because it doesn't really count for your, because they go on units. Calorie-wise, I would be over on that, but, you know, there's not a lot of calories in veggies, right? So I wasn't in a hugely aggressive calorie deficit, but I was still losing a kilo a week. I could probably have lost more if I was focusing on like the calorie intake, but life's too short to feel like I'm starving. If I'm starving, I'm more likely to go, stuff it. I'm going to have some extra carbs. I'm going to...
It's that sustainability you were talking
Absolutely. Whatever you do, make it sustainable. That is 100% the number one thing to do, make it sustainable. So for me, I sort of realised I'm losing a kilo a week. Oh, that means I can lose 4 kilos a week. It means I can lose 5 kilos in 5 weeks. And then I started setting goals, which if you're a big bloke, going back to your question before about if you're a big bloke, what can you do? I was setting myself little constant goals, as in to get under 180 kilos was a huge goal. It was like, 6 kilos, for example, right? And then I go, oh, then I can lose 10 kilos. So that was sort of like swapping in between. So every couple of weeks I was looking at a new goal. I'd lose, I've lost 10% of my body. So I had another goal, percentage of weight loss, the magical marker of getting under 170 kilos, 160 kilos, and another marker of how many kilos I'd lost. So I was able to celebrate in my mind every couple of weeks, which you need to go. When you're a big guy, you're going, I'm still 170 kilos. This is going to take forever. Well, no, I've just reached a goal. Some of my best photos ever was me holding a bag of dog food. It was like week 3 or 4 or something. I'd lost 8 kilos. I went and picked up an 8 kilo bag of dog food. The smile on my face, over the moon. I've lost this much. A bag of dog food. Nothing compared to what I lost now, but a bag of dog food at that point, that was awesome.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and then I was getting holding up 15 kilo bags of pool salt. I think there's a photo of me holding up 45 kilos. I'd lost 45 kilos. And best one ever was my son. I think he was like 36 kilos when he was 10 or whatever. I'd lost as much as my son. It's like, hey, look, this is what I was carrying around all day. So if you can look at how you can progress and make that a milestone and make it something to celebrate, huge achievement. I've lost as much as my son or my dog or, this 20 kilo bag of cement. If you're a brickie, that's a bloody heavy. Hey, you were carrying that around. Or when you've lost 40 kilos, pick up 2 of them, mate, walk around for 5 minutes. Tell me how tired you are. You've been doing that all the time. 100 kilos, I was carrying around 20 kilos bags of pool salt. That's insane. all the time, 24/7, walking upstairs. I never actually was diagnosed as diabetic, or I never had a medical thing go say this is an issue. It was just sort of like I realised like I'm gonna I'm gonna die if I don't do it. But yeah, think about how much you've lost and then convert it to bags of salt or whatever to help you keep that motivation and that in your mind what you've done.
And another thing that's sort of with the weight loss journey that you've had, and this is sort of something that I've had conversations with just in the last 6 months of me starting to drop a few kilos, not to the extent that you've done it, but
You don't need to lose 100.
well, yeah, I don't have 100 to lose now. But so when you were a big unit and you've dropped this weight now, did you go through any body dysmorphia where like you like in your head you were like, I'm still big, but physically you were not?
Not really. I think I dodged that bullet. And that's hard. I think I've just embraced it so much and celebrated the journey so much that I think my body has, my brain has moved with it. And it was more the opposite, as in, don't put on the weight. I think I dodged that bullet, but I know that would be a body dysmorphia would be a big thing for a lot of guys. I think it might be different if you did surgery because you lose it faster and you're more likely to get loose skin. When you lose it faster, you're more likely to get more loose skin. I'm really lucky. Like I should have massive bingo wings. Like I've got to lose 100 kilos. I've had no surgery and I'm very lucky. I'm not sure whether that's partially genetics, good genetics. I don't know, but I've got
Collagen and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I had collagen. Actually, I was getting the blood from babies.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Eating fetuses.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
yes.
like the skin on your face
Doesn't
looks,
happen,
looks healthy and good.
Exactly. But I'm really lucky. I've got very good skin. I drink shitloads of water, probably 4 liters of water a day minimum. I think that might be part of it. But considering I lost 54, then put on 90 and then lost 100.
You would think that there would be some sort of...
Correct. I've got a bit hanging down, but I'm really lucky. And my brain's pretty good with dysmorphia.
That's good.
I freaked out because after Christmas and holidays and et cetera, and injuries is a big thing as well. I've got the extra around there, and it was sort of like my mind had to kick in and go, hang on, those pants are getting tight. So you need to drop it back a notch, go back to my plan. Okay, I need to go to here. I need to tweak this. Instead of 30 grams of peanuts, and I have 26 grams of peanuts. Instead of, this amount of bread, I drop this much amount of bread. So it was just really tweaking the diet to my circumstances to get me back to where I am. And, I'm losing weight because I do weigh myself sometimes now and losing centimeters. So hopefully in June, when I'm back to 7 years, I'll be back to my healthiest, which, centimetre wise, that would be, I was the strongest. I was able to push that a little bit more and my centimetres were a bit less. So the pants will be actually loose rather than just sort of snug. So yeah, that's the key to making it sustainable as well.
It's been a good chat, but we're just about out of time. So I reckon we could keep going on this one for a while.
I could talk for hours. I've got
I could listen for hours. You are incredible, Terry.
My kids can't listen to me. They get annoyed like hell. So this, I don't know if the camera can see that. So this here is a 5-pound block of fat, anatomically accurate, even with fake blood vessels in there. So Maddie, have a look at that, mate.
Yeah.
I lost 44 of those.
Look at that. It does remind me of the Girthmaster. But
Mum, if you're watching this, do not Google Girthmaster.
No.
So you how heavy is it?
So that's 5 pound, 2.2 kilos.
2.2 kilos. So,
So 44 of those I've lost.
Yeah, so even if you're 10, 12 kilos overweight, imagine
That's fat.
5 of them lined up
Yeah.
on your stomach. That's heavy.
I had a big gut and a big ass.
Yeah, wow.
It's pretty wild to think that's what your insides look like
Yeah,
too.
like
It
That's
doesn't,
like that's inside you.
it doesn't look real healthy.
Yeah. And I was carrying that around. Like, you got to
you
remember
had 40
24/7. You just don't think of that.
Mm.
No.
Like, and my pants, I don't know if you can see them at the camera, or I stand up with them or what, but.
Yeah, look at that. We could both get in there.
Well, I did when I was.
What size are these?
They're 100 and. Was it 120? No, 100 would be too small. 157 stout. So to rub it in, I was 157 centimeters and I was stout.
Stout. He doesn't have long legs. He's just wide.
That's an actual terminology for it.
So I actually met the scientist.
Jump in the mic. Yeah.
Sorry. I actually met the chief scientist that worked on the CSIRO, Total Wellbeing Diet, actually at the CSIRO, I think it was January last year. And I got a photo of me and her standing in those pants. So it was really cool because, like, it's a commercial diet, but you still think, like, is it real? Well, yeah, I actually met the scientist who works at the CSIRO, person to person. She was interviewed on, the TV channels and whatever, and I actually was interviewed by her, and she stood in those pants, and we stood them together. So, yeah, just life-changing.
That's cool.
So good. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll drop the links to your socials so people can check out what you're doing. And all the links to our socials will be there as well. You can jump on the website, www.betterblokeproject.org, where we list the events that are upcoming, as well as all our old podcasts, so you can check out some more good discussions. Check out the one with Dane if you are interested in this weight loss journey. You can also donate to us so you can help us continue with our cause of fucking off suicide as the leading cause of death for Aussie blokes.
And I'm not going to say it yet because we haven't said our bloke of the week.
You fucked up, Matty.
That's on me.
That's
on me. We're going overtime because the conversation was so good.
We are.
Bloke of the week, and then we're out of here.
We are. So I had a big plan for a bloke of the week here. I've got it on my phone and I did a whole bunch of research. But after this conversation we have just had, my bloke of the week is changing it to this man sitting beside us, Terry Munro. That, like, the chat that you have just had and, like, the emotion that you showed, fucking amazing. So because of that, you deserve every single bit of it.
Thank you.
Good, mate.
Guys, be better. That's it in a nutshell. Like, I discovered your potty. I've gone through every single episode. Just, like, be better. That's it in a nutshell. Mental health, physical health, it's all related. Just, we can be better blokes and support each other.
In the words of Terry, be better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Unreal, brother. Really, really good. Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Better Bloke. If you got anything out of it, show some love by dropping a 5-star review below.
If you want to learn more about everything we're doing, head to the description, hit the links, and follow us on the socials. If you want to learn more about the project, head to betterblokeproject.org.